We've got another Kansas doubleheader in what should be a fun one. Headed to the desert, facing off against Arizona State, followed by our first game at home since week 0. A rematch at the Big 12 Championship from a year ago, facing off against one of the 3 teams who we lost to in Season 1, the University of Utah. We'll see if the Jayhawks can look to pick things up as we currently sit at number 21 in the rankings with a record of 2-2. And obviously, it's been up and down through the first 4 games of this year, but I think in the last episode we saw a lot of positives in both games. We went to Death Valley, took on number 5 Clemson, who is now ranked number 4, and we were in it until the final play of the game. We started off slow, down 24-7 in the first half, but we clawed all the way back with a really strong game from freshman quarterback Clyde Poole. Joseph Manjack played really well, Dylan Brooks was terrific, but Clemson's start power was a little bit too much, with Cade Klubnik at quarterback leading the way. Then we beat Arizona. Really efficient game from Poole. He only threw 3 incompletions while running for 115 yards. The defense was able to hold up despite a slow start, helping us win our first in-conference game of the year, and we're looking to keep things going in Big 12 play with Arizona State and Utah. An interesting storyline from the last 2 weeks is that we led up both of the National Defensive Players of the Week with T.J. Parker and Jacob Banu. On one hand, both of these guys are going to be NFL draft picks. Parker in particular is probably going to be a first rounder. But both of them were matched up with James Livingston, who obviously took a huge step in development this offseason, and it hasn't really translated on the field. Again, I get it to an extent because both of those guys are really, really good players, but Livingston has struggled so far. Since we are a third of the way through the year, I do want to take a look at the team stats just to assess where we are. Obviously, we feel really good with Clyde Poole. He has started at quarterback over the last 3 games, and I continue to be impressed. He's been accurate as a passer. He's been phenomenal on the ground. Currently, our team's leading rusher, and I would say pretty comfortably not just the best rushing quarterback in the country, but the best play extender at the position. Philippe Wesley, believe it or not, leads our team in receiving, but we're getting more production out of transfers Moody Rubin and Joseph Manjack, while the rest of the skill position players, specifically a running back, continue to be pretty solid with Sevion Morrison and Johnny Thompson Jr. The O-line has been inconsistent, but getting better. The defense has also had its ups and downs, but overall hasn't been too bad. We still need more sack production. Dekias Brinkley only has 2 coming off his big freshman season last year. Seth Jennings, our elite freshman, has none, although he did have one in the Missouri game that was called back on a flag not by him. And so that sets us up for this matchup against the Sun Devils. We played against them in Tempe and beat them last year in a blowout in Week 6. History repeats itself with the location and the week of the game, and hopefully the result will as well, although this team is so much better than they were last year. If we look at their 2 losses, they're not bad losses at all. Close game against 5-0 Mississippi State, close game against 5-0 Texas State, and for their first in-conference game, they beat a really good TCU team who was stingy all of last year and has already beaten North Carolina and SMU this year, not to mention North Texas won like 9 or 10 games a season ago too. So this Arizona State team is clearly better than they were a year ago, and we know we cannot take them lightly. Sam Leavitt leads the way at quarterback, the redshirt sophomore. Their previous starter, Taylor McDougald, entered the portal. He's now at Wyoming. The running back, Alton McCaskill, is hurt, so we'll see a committee with Maurice Turner and Kyson Brown. The receiving core has certainly taken a step down from last year. Troy O'Meary had close to 200 yards against us a season ago. Probably the best wide receiver performance against our elite secondary. He is gone and now in the NFL as an undrafted free agent. I will say this defense is really strong. Certainly the strength of the team, and it has shown in their performances. They held a great Mississippi State offense. They held a great Texas State offense. They produced against TCU, one of the better defensive units in the Big 12. So it's going to be a challenge for our freshman quarterback, Clyde Poole, but he's performed well against strong defenses throughout the year. And all he knows is playing on the road. This is Poole's 4th start, none of which have been at home. Again, we have not had a home game since week 0, which in game time is nearly 2 months ago. So Arizona State has it back up the middle. Turner breaks the tackle and gets the first down. Devin Dye should have had him for a gain of like 6 or 7. But instead, it turns into much more than that, nearly 20. First down, play action fake. Brooks sells on the run, and wide open downfield is the tight end, Sherman. Into the red zone, all the way to the 10. A 49-yard gain for Justin Sherman, the redshirt freshman. And Arizona State is marching on the doorstep Loss of yards there on second down for Turner. He's wrapped up by Travion Ford. Third down now at around the 6. Leave it. Backs up in the pocket, under pressure. Hit as he throws. It is broken up for Sherman. Good defense by the Jayhawks. We have a flag, but I don't think it's going to matter. It's a holding call against Arizona State on the right tackle, Ron Schuler, the freshman. So this one will be declined, and here comes the field goal unit. It's a chip shot for Baker Tucker. His kick is good, and it is a 3-0 lead. We blocked a kick from Tucker in last year's game, an extra point late in the matchup. As we take our first look at the offense, Poole cannot run out of the sack. Tristan Monday brings him down for a loss of yardage, and it's 3rd and 7. Poole looks to throw it under pressure up the middle, broken up. Incomplete. He was looking for Manjack, and so Arizona State opens the game with a 3-and-out. Sun Devils back with it. Turner loses yards. Jason Gilliam brings him down on first down, but otherwise they're moving it well down the field pretty well. Not on this play, though. A big sack by Dylan Brooks, who surprisingly has been probably our best defensive end this year. Really stood out in the game against Clemson. That could knock them out of field goal range as Leavitt goes for the end zone. It's broken up. Javon McIntyre got a hand on it. Good coverage by Avante Dickerson, 2 of our top transfers in there as Kansas gets it back. 3rd and 3, handoff for Manjack. He gets the first down, weaving his way through defenders, and he gets it past the 20. So finally Kansas gets their first down of the game. We'll see how they capitalize. Poole running around, has a wide open man. It's Manjack again. Looking to break the tackle as he gets around 30. It seems like Manjack is really starting to get comfortable in this offense. Slow start to the year, but he's really starting to perform. Second down, here is Thompson. Breaks the initial hit, but he loses a few. Thompson made his first start last week. Ironic because that's the game that Sevion Morrison outplayed him. And on 3rd down, it's intercepted. Poole is picked off by the senior defensive back Xavier Alford, and Arizona State forces the turnover. Part of Poole's game is that there's going to be the bad throws. There's going to be the turnovers. Obviously, the play extension ability with him is so exciting, but there's also going to be some of those boneheaded movements. It's kind of like watching Lamar Jackson under center, but your 10-year-old brother is the one holding the controller. So Alford gets the interception, and Arizona State gets it back. It remains 3-0. It's a jet sweep for Caleb Black with space up the field. Breaks the tackle from Dickerson and McIntyre. Brooks looks to catch him, and he cannot. A long touchdown on the play for Black. And I think this one is coming back. Hey, that rhymed. A holding call on Bram Walden, the left tackle. A major loss for Arizona State, and after another holding call on Walden, it's 3rd and 26. Just don't let up the big play. Moonball. It is intercepted. Avante Dickerson, the transfer from Utah State, with his first of the year and a good return after the fact as he gets it near the 30. A big play there defensively by Dickerson, although I don't entirely blame Leavitt. It's basically an arm punt, but Dickerson with a good punt return, in a sense. And Kansas will get pretty solid field position as the offense looks to respond after what was a not-so-good first couple of drives. Both quarterbacks have been intercepted here. I feel like through the first 4 games of the year, there haven't been many turnovers on either side of the ball. But both teams have given it away here in what was otherwise a pretty defense-heavy first quarter. Got to get more out of the offense. We haven't really been able to set the tone on the ground. And Clyde Poole had one of his worst quarters of the year throwing the ball, so he'll certainly have to perform a little bit better as we open things up with a 3rd and 5. Poole looks to throw it. It's a design screen, and it should be an easy first down and more. Sevion Morrison past the 50 with a nice gain after the catch. Let's just try to get Clyde Poole comfortable in the short game. It's an RPO for Philippe Wesley, and he brings it to the 25, and now the offense seems to be in sync after they certainly were not in the first quarter. 3rd and inches play action. Poole looking, and he completely misses in the end zone for Mudia Rubin. That throw is not even close. And that'll now make it a 4th and inches. Ben Easter's in for the possible QB draw. Instead, he hands it off for Daniel Highshaw. Gets a first down and then some. It's a gain of around 10 for Highshaw. And Kansas now has it near the goal line. 1st and goal. Poole keeps it himself, tries to outrun the defenders, and he cannot. Strangled down for a loss of a couple. The Arizona State defense has held him in check as a runner, and because of that, he hasn't been as effective as a passer. 2nd and goal. Poole, end zone, nearly intercepted. That was a dangerous throw He just does not look like himself right now. The reads are bad. The accuracy's bad. Looks to run it up the middle on 3rd and goal, and he is close, but not quite. And we're going to go for it again here on 4th and goal. Easters hands it off. Thompson is in. It's a touchdown run for Johnny Thompson Jr., powering his way in for a score. Kansas goes for it multiple times on this possession on 4th down, and it's now 7-3. Arizona State back with it. There's a nice throw nearing midfield. Justin Sherman with a big first half. 3 catches, 74 yards, as it's Dickerson who allows the reception. 3rd and 3 now for the Sun Devils, looking to keep the possession going. Turner with the handoff, and he is smothered. J.B. Brown brings him down, and Arizona State will elect to punt it away. Kansas back with it. Here's Poole under pressure. There's a good throw. He's got Moody Rubin past the 25 for a first down. That's what we've been looking for out of Clyde Poole. Good accuracy despite the face of pressure. He loses 4 there on the read option. Arizona State's been able to contain the option so far. Now on 3rd down, look at Poole scrambling around. He's going to look to run with it and make a miracle, and his prayer is answered. Down the sideline past the 45. He was as far as maybe 15 yards back of the line of scrimmage. Running backwards as a quarterback is the worst thing you can do, except when your name is Clyde Poole and you're very clearly the fastest player on the field. Looks to do it again on 1st down into the red zone, past the 15, and here's the Clyde Poole we know and love. Back-to-back big runs, now looking for the end zone, and he misfires again. Great route by Moody Rubin. He was wide open. On 2nd down, another fail on the option. Poole loses a couple. The Arizona State defense continues to read these option plays perfectly as he's wrapped up by Cyrus Faseyu. 3rd and long. Poole looks to throw it. Rolls out to the left. Looking to throw it. Nearly intercepted. Rubin was open for a while. He threw it way too late, though. Another dropped interception by the Sun Devil defense, and Kansas is forced to kick the field goal. It is good from 34 yards out for the true freshman, Anthony Escalante, and that'll wrap up the first half. A 10-3 score. Despite the lead, Clyde Poole really does not look very good. Now, on that last drive, he had some really nice runs. It's good to see him establishing himself on the ground game again, but he's missed a lot of throws. He had the 1 interception earlier, nearly had a couple more. I will say the defense is doing a really good job of holding up. We allowed a nice drive and a score on the opening possession, but ever since then, Arizona State has been shut out. I've noticed that our defense seems to start games slow. Every first possession, our defense seems to suck, and then we kind of figure it out. So as long as we don't allow too many points, you guys can do whatever you want on the first drive of the game. Kansas starts with it on offense, a chance to make it a 2-score lead, and they're unsuccessful. Only a gain of 7 on 3rd down for Moody Rubin. That'll lead to a punt. Arizona State gets it back. 3rd and 6. Leave it. Downfield, well overthrown. He had a receiver open. That pass was real bad. The quarterback play in this game has not been good. Kansas back with it. Poole lobs it up, and he completely overthrows his target. He was on the run there. Not an easy throw, but Isaiah Lamore was wide open. There's a good throw. It's a first down for Moody Rubin, who's had a nice game. 5 catches, 46 yards. He'd have some more if not for some of these bad passes, though, as Poole fumbles the option, and it's picked up by Arizona State. A costly fumble by Clyde Poole. He's done a pretty good job this year with ball security, but not there. It's a holding call against James Livingston. It will not matter. Linebacker Crew Jackson is the one with the force, and it's recovered by Keith Abney II. Arizona State back with it. Here's Jordan Tyson. Breaks away from Basil Wilson and gets it inside the 25. This is the opportunity that Arizona State's offense needs, and they're going to take full advantage. It's Jordan Tyson again, open in the end zone. Leaves Avante Dickerson in the dust, and the Sun Devils tie it up. Hendricks gets a step on Dickerson, and we are knotted up at 10. Kansas returns 3rd and 9. Poole looks to throw it downfield. It is caught for a first down reception by Joseph Manjack. The offense needs to get back into a rhythm. Clyde Poole's now turned it over twice in what's been a rough one for him. On 2nd and long, look at the run. He gets the first down, getting around 25 yards. Even when it's 2nd and long, 3rd and long, Kansas has a chance to make a play out of it with number 4 running the show. And here's Morrison down the field. He gets around 27 yards, bringing it to the 9. A huge response by this offense who needed one. Poole, end zone, touchdown. Isaiah Lamore, the true freshman, with his second receiving touchdown of the year, and Kansas immediately regains the lead. A huge drive from Clyde Poole in the offense as the Sun Devils get it back down 7. Turner down the field with a big run. He gets it near midfield. Turner's been pretty solid today. He's had a really inefficient start to the year, less than 3.5 yards per carry. But against what's been a pretty good run defense, surprisingly, he's actually played quite well. On first down, Leavitt looks to throw it. Under pressure, launches it up, downfield for the end zone. It's intercepted, but out of bounds. Good play, though, by McIntyre to track the football. Unfortunately, that one was just a little bit overthrown, and he's unable to force the turnover. 2nd and 10, Leavitt calls for an audible late in the third. Hands it off for Turner with space to the left side. Gets another first down. And he's wrapped up by the big fella, DJ Withers. I don't know how he got that far down the field that fast, but you know what? He made the play, so I can't really complain. Leavitt keeps it on the option this time. Gets a block. Gets by Mpemba and is flipped over by Basil Wilson. Another good drive, though, for the Sun Devils, as on 3rd and 2, Leavitt keeps it himself again. Gets the first down, hit hard at around the 5. But this one might be coming back. Arizona State has had some costly holding calls today. And another one here on Afa Toomer, the freshman center, and that'll wrap up the third quarter. 17-10, both teams scoring. Clyde Poole with another turnover. But luckily, Kansas holds on to the lead as they look to hold on to their top 25 ranking. A loss would likely make us unranked for the first time in the entire series. After the holding call, it's a 3rd and 8. They're going to have to convert again. They'll go back to the ground, and they don't get it. It's a gain of around 5 for Kyson Brown. And look at this. The offense is going to stay on the field and go for it. 4th and 4. End zone broken up. Avante Dickerson with the deflection. Kansas gets it back up 7. Poole on first and very long. Misfires again. An early holding call pushed them back this far as it's 3rd and 17. Poole looks to throw it. Dangerous this far deep. And it's dropped. Clyde Poole has had some bad throws. That was not one of them. Not an easy catch to make, but Isaiah Lamore had it in his hands. Arizona State back with it on 2nd and 10. Turner breaks a tackle on the screen. Gets the first down. Breaking more tackles past the 35. What a play after the catch by Maurice Turner, bringing it to the 31-yard line. A really strong gain of around 20. On 3rd and 6, curls get the girls. Corbin Hendricks into the end zone for a touchdown. Basil Wilson wanted to play the ball there, and it backfires. Arizona State ties it at 17, and we'll see if the offense can look to make a play here. 3rd and 10, man in motion. Poole looks to keep it, rolls out to the right. Under pressure, no one's open, launches it deep, and it's intercepted again. Xavier Alford, his second of the game, and a big return past the 40. It looked like Thompson was open there for quite a bit, but Clyde Poole, A, threw it too late, and B, overthrew the intended target, Thompson. Through the first 3 starts he made, he only threw 2 interceptions and fumbled it once. Today, he's thrown 2 interceptions and fumbled it once. And we're seeing the downsides of Clyde Poole. We know that his game is turnover prone, and it's caught up to him here in this one. Sun Devils with a chance to take the lead. They convert with the first down run by Michael Turner, getting near field goal range as this clock continues to tick away. On first down, Leavitt is sacked. Wow, a huge play by Dylan Brooks. That should knock them out of field goal range. But after getting the yardage back, it's 3rd and 7. They'll go back to the ground with Turner. Breaks the tackle, gets a few, and now Arizona State will look for the lead. Baker Tucker from 38 yards on the left hash. It's up, and it is good. 20-17, Arizona State leads, and now we need Clyde Poole to clutch up. He has not had a good game, easily his worst as a Jayhawk, and with our QB rotation, you can make the argument that this would be the time to switch. Good run here for Morrison, and I think you can tack on an additional 15 with a late hit. An unnecessary play by Arizona State as the flag is called on Martell Hughes, the freshman safety. Back to the QB rotation, though. The whole point of the rotation is when someone's not playing well to make a switch, but we're not doing so because Clyde Poole has played so well this year. He's earned the benefit of the doubt as he fumbles it again, but he scoops it up. Good play by Clyde Poole to recover his own fumble. That could have been bad news. 2nd and 5 up the middle. Rubin is in. Touchdown, Kansas. Clyde Poole leads a potential go-ahead drive as he connects in the end zone for a touchdown with Moody Rubin, and it's 24-20. We put our faith in the freshman quarterback to deliver, And he does. For good reason, he has played well down the stretch in games. Game-winning drive against Missouri. Nearly a game-winning drive against Clemson. And he played so well against Arizona, he didn't even need a game-winning drive. Speaking of, now it's Sam Leavitt's turn with under 2 minutes to go. Sherman with a nice first down as the Sun Devils call timeout number 1. Down by 4, field goal does nothing. They need a touchdown. Wheel route caught by Turner. It could have been intercepted by Gilliam, but he lost his footing as he was trying to jump up for the ball. Another first down that'll get Arizona State past midfield. From the 50, Leavitt looking downfield. Wide open is Hendricks, and he is gone. In this fourth quarter, Corbin Hendricks has 2 catches for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. Avante Dickerson, burnt toast. Dickerson's made some nice plays today. He had the interception. He had the 4th down deflection early in the 4th. But he's also been responsible for letting up 2 long touchdowns. It seems like his launch speed and man coverage on vertical routes has been a problem. And Arizona State is ahead by 3. It's time for Clyde Poole to clutch it up again. 3rd and 9. It's only a gain of 3 for Isaiah Lamore. Got to convert here on 4th down and 6. Possibly the game on the line. Poole scrambles wide open as Manjack completely uncovered. The coverage breaks, and Kansas gets the first down. All they need is a field goal, but time is not on their side. Downfield, caught again. Joseph Manjack to the 35. So far, so good here for Poole. Following play up the middle, hauled in by Rubin. And Kansas is quickly going to use a timeout. They're in field goal range right now, but obviously they would love to end this game now if they can, while still trying to be smart and avoid turnovers. So basically, don't try to have Clyde Poole do too much, because that's been an issue today. He's going to run with it and goes out of bounds. Poole needs to avoid hits, and he cannot look to throw the ball downfield. 2nd and 2, 9 seconds to go. Poole looks to throw it. He goes short. It's caught. Wesley to around the 7. Kansas is going to call a timeout with roughly 4 seconds to go, and it's not worth risking. We're going to bring the field goal unit out. 24-yarder for Anthony Escalante. It is no good! He misses it! Wide to the right! And Arizona State hangs on for the win! The freshman Anthony Escalante misses a fairly close kick. And Kansas will drop this one, falling to 2-3. What a win here for the Sun Devils as they hang on for dear life with an impressive offensive showing down the stretch. They only scored 10 points in the first 3 quarters, but they had 17 in the 4th with a huge frame from Sam Leavitt, who was not consistent at all throughout the game. But when they needed him to deliver, he did. And the same can be said for Clyde Poole, who had a really bad game. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, although he did recover one of them himself. He was not good, but in those last 2 drives when we needed him to step up, he did. We scored a touchdown to take the lead, and then on the final drive, Anthony Escalante misses a fairly close kick from 24 yards out. I think we managed the last drive fine. The one regret I have is with 4 seconds left, instead of kicking the field goal, I wish we ran backwards a little bit, but tried to center the kick. That way, we wouldn't have to worry about being on the hashes, even if it was a little farther back. So again, Clyde Poole did not have his best game. He missed a lot of throws. Doesn't help that he had the 2 interceptions. But again, when we needed him to be clutch, he was. And for all the pushback that we're going to give him for his poor moments, we got to give him credit for how well he held his composure late. He also ran for 107 yards. Morrison with a big game on the ground. Rubin with his best day as a Jayhawk. Manjack played well. These top 2 receivers fully immersed within this offense. And then defensively, we were great for 3 quarters and then kind of blew it. 2 sacks for Dylan Brooks, interception for Dickerson, but he was kind of the guy who lost us the game, allowing 2 coverage touchdowns. And then Escalante, of course, with the missed field goal, the biggest difference in this game. Leavitt completing less than 50% of his passes, but he averaged over 20 yards per completion. He looked downfield often. It was like watching Jameis Winston play quarterback. No checkdowns. Gotta respect it. Ethical football. Defensively, I thought the Sun Devils did a pretty good job. They held Poole as a runner for the most part, minus a few big plays, and their coverage was really good, obviously, with the 2 interceptions. They were not clutch, though. Those last 2 drives, the defense nearly sold. But again, they got lucky with the missed kick. by Escalante. So we fall to 1-1 within conference play. We're probably going to fall out of the top 25. And now we have to play a really good Utah team who's currently ranked in the top 10 for next week's matchup. We've got some good games here in week 6. Oregon, Iowa, Penn State, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Georgia, Texas versus 5-0 Mississippi State. But before that, we've got 2 weeks of recruiting to cover for weeks 6 and 7. And going into this week, we get our 2 first commits of the year. 4-star quarterback Sean Pollard as a Kansas Jayhawk. Wow, what a huge get for us. The talented kid from Booker T. Washington High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma, becomes the highest-ranked recruit to commit to the program in this series. There's a chance this guy is our long-term starting quarterback. He's a 4-star, the 12th-ranked quarterback in the nation. He's a gem, 94 throw power, 6'2", 213 pounds. There's a real shot we just got a 3, maybe even 4-year starter at the position. And then we also land 4-star linebacker Santiago Herrera from Chaminade Prep in St. Louis. He's a really talented linebacker, fringe top 250 player in the nation, and a guy who I think might have a role on our defense next season. 2 very big gets for us, but we lose out on wide receiver Josh Lawton, who is going to Tennessee, and that's an unfortunate one because it was a very competitive race for Lawton. We were in first place last week. He hadn't even narrowed his list down to 3 yet. So this kind of comes out of nowhere. We decided to go all in on him. We gave him the maximum amount of recruiting hours. I figured at the very least this would go down to 3 and he'd commit within the next couple of weeks. So it ended up happening faster than expected. Tight end Rico Ruggins and safety Marcus Ashe are also down to 5 schools. So overall, this is a win. We lose out on Lawton, who I really like. I think he's a stud. But we land Sean Pollard and Santiago Herrera, 2 really, really good players. Herrera, as I said, I think he's going to make an early impact. And then Sean Pollard, what a get for this program. I think this is a guy who can be a starting quarterback for our team. That's pretty exciting that we might have landed the future of the program. But you could argue the future of the program might be somebody else on the board with Kerry Chosen, who's likely to sign probably with us after this week, along with Enrique Rambo. Rambo, of course, is a 5-star, but with the addition of Pollard and Chosen likely joining suit, we're not going to pursue Rambo that much. And another reason for this, as we look at the playing time screen here, Sean Pollard is an A+, Enrique Rambo is a C+. And I know that seems like nothing, but if you remember last year, Clyde Poole's playing time grade was a lot higher than DeAndre Rainbolt, despite the fact that Rainbolt was a highly ranked 4-star, and Clyde Poole was barely a 3-star. That told me that Clyde Poole is probably going to be the higher overall rating, which obviously he is. He came in as a 73, now he's a 76, 10 rating points higher than Rainbolt. But as we expected, Rainbolt has the higher development trait. He has star, Poole has normal. But I'm not so sure that's going to be the case here because Sean Pollard is a gem. So at the very least, he's going to have a good development trait. And if what I believe is true and his rating is possibly higher than Rambo's, we don't really have a reason to go that hard for Enrique Rambo, despite the fact that he's a 5-star and the 3rd-ranked quarterback in the country. I hope this doesn't bite us in the butt and we don't miss out on some special talent, but with Pollard and Chosen's recruitments moving faster, we've prioritized them. As for Santiago Herrera, a do-it-all linebacker, he can stop the run. I think there's some coverage upside, not great in zone yet. I think he can rush the passer a little bit as well, and I'm hoping he can convince his teammate at Chaminade, Peyton Theory, to commit as well. As for Josh Lawton, it really hurts losing out on him. 6'4", 212, 96 speed. Of the 5 receivers on the board during the recruiting special, I said that I think he's going to be the best one. I think all 5 of these guys are really good, but I think there's something a little bit different about him. Now, his deal breaker is coach prestige. Tennessee's is only at a B, and if they continue to struggle, they've lost a couple games in a row. That could go down, and if he were to decommit, he'd probably come here, so we're going to keep him on the board in case that happens. So with 3 guys who we were putting a lot of hours into committing, that's going to open up a lot of time for us recruiting-wise. We have 185 hours that have now opened up, and this is probably going to be consistent over the next couple of weeks because more and more guys are going to be committing to schools. With us finally getting a home game again, we might use a lot of these hours, at least this week, into offering visits. And with how fast some of these recruitments have gone, there's a lot of guys who are interested in visits, but we can only schedule 4 for week 7 against Utah. So we're going to have to be strategic in the 4 players we pick, specifically 4 guys who really need this visit in order to potentially push us above the rest of the competition in their respective battles. So somebody like Kerry Chosen, for instance, who we have a pretty big lead on, doesn't really make sense to have him come. We're going to start with Anthony Bartow, and this is a weird one because last week, if you remember, I said that I don't think we have a chance at Bartow, but I want to keep him on the board just in case. The recruitment from other teams has slowed down, so you know what? I'm back in. Running back, Cordell Teamer will get the visit. We're in a really tight race with him in UCF. Five-star corner, Quantavious Landers. His recruitment is heating up. I want to make sure we land him. And then edge rusher Devin Murphy. We're in third place of a tight battle with Iowa and Nebraska, so I want to ensure we land him as well. Those are the only 4 visits we can do because, for one thing, we don't have enough recruiting hours. But also, I think it's just a rule in this game that you can only do 4 visits per week. So that's how we're going to manage our visits here for Week 7. And now we're going to make some other changes on the board. We're really struggling in this battle for defensive tackle J.P. Vernon. We're putting 25 hours into him, which is a lot, but our bar isn't moving up that much. That tells me that Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma are all going all in on him. And if there's 3 teams who are prioritizing him more than us, it doesn't really make sense to keep him. And it's unfortunate because he's a really good player. He's a gem. He fits one of the bigger positions of need on our roster. But we have to be smart, and we're going to take him off the board. We're also going to remove Bryce Huntley. We were doing really well in this battle for a while, but the playing style deal breaker bites us in the rear end. Our defense has not gotten enough interceptions. We can't put points into him, and I'm worried that the gap is too much, especially with Rutgers likely passing us soon. So we're going to have to take him off as well. He's a top 100 player. I think he's really good. But I found another safety who's also ranked in the top 100 whose recruitment is open. Brandon Hines from Longwood, Florida. He has 6 scholarships, but none of them are from the schools he really wants to go to. He wants to go to a big school. None of them seem to be all that high on him. So with his recruitment now really starting to open up, I would like to enter this battle. We're going to scout him. Unfortunately, he's a bust, but I still like the skill set. I think this is somebody who could be our long-term strong safety playing the Marvin Grant role. We have Javon McIntyre in there right now, but McIntyre is a 1-year Band-Aid. Hines is a guy who could be a 3 to 4 year starter, and we're going to offer him a scholarship and really prioritize him as his recruitment keeps moving forward. But we still have 65 more hours left. We're going to start with Anthony Bartow. This might be stupid, but with us offering him the visit, that should be pretty telling that, you know what, I want back in. Texas A&M has quieted their bid on him. Texas is putting a lot of hours into him now. So again, it's really risky, but he's a really good player, and I kind of think it's worth a shot. Let's simulate now into Week 7. I divvied up the other recruiting hours as such, and here we go. Kerry Chosen, the other quarterback, has officially committed as expected, so now we add 2 4-star quarterbacks to the QB room. From Littleton, Colorado and Eagles Crest High School, the Chosen One looks to live up to his namesake and be the long-term starting quarterback of our team. If Sean Pullard is not the guy, Kerry Chosen might be instead. He's the 227th ranked player in the nation. I think his skill set is pretty equal to that of Sean Pullard, though. And he's a gem as well, so he's probably going to have a pretty good development trait in his own right. I was hoping we would get some other commitments this week. Unfortunately, we don't. But nobody else signs elsewhere, which is good. And we've got a few guys down to 3 with Reed Sharp. We're in first place, as is Anthony Bartow, who's going to be visiting the campus this week. Texas A&M has a big lead, though. It's a little bit unlikely, but we're going to try, I suppose. So we'll start with Kerry Chosen, who, as I mentioned, I'm really excited about. He's an athlete. He can play a bunch of different positions, but most likely, at the very least, we're going to start with him at quarterback and see how it goes. So now we have 2 quarterbacks who have signed here. Even though Enrique Rambo is a 5-star, I think all 3 of these guys have fairly equal ratings. And with the other 2 guys being a gem, I'm not worried about their development traits. Here's where we stand for Bartow. He is visiting this week. It's not looking good. But since we already scheduled the visit, I feel like we might as well just put our chips up front, go all in for him. If it doesn't work out, we can say we tried, and we can say we lost out on all these recruiting hours that could have been avoided if we didn't put 10 into him that 1 week and kind of give up. So again, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit with Bartow. We should have gone all in or all out to begin with, but now we are going all in on him. I would expect him to commit this week. So at the very least, we're not going to be putting any more hours into him here after Week 7. When I mentioned Bryce Huntley last week, I never actually took him off the board. I wanted to see if the interception by Dickerson would affect things. It did not, and we have fallen down to 4th. it's Jover. And Bryce Huntley is now officially off the recruiting board. But as I mentioned with Brandon Hines, we're in a good spot because he's actually ranked a little bit higher than Huntley. We're going to take some more guys off. There's a lot of battles that we're starting to fall behind in, including cornerback Joey Feliciano. SMU really likes him. There's too many teams going all in on him, so we're going to remove him. We're going to add 2 more people, starting with center Terrell Butts. Don't laugh. Butts was a guy who we recognized we were interested in earlier in the year, but we never put him on the board. His recruitment has gone slowly, so now we will. Defensive tackle Clay Latruce will join as well. He's a JUCO guy. I wouldn't mind adding a veteran in there. So we'll start with Terrell Butts. He is a bust. Tongue twister. I feel like we might have already scouted him at the beginning of the year. I don't entirely remember. As for Latruce, there were some higher-ranked defensive tackles who we didn't put on over him. He's also a bust, by the way. But my thought process is we don't have many defensive tackles on the roster next year. Let's get a high-floor guy who we know can play, even if he's not spectacular. So now we can start scheduling some more visits if we want, but we don't have another home game until Week 10. Reed Sharp is really close with us in Minnesota. We're going to put 60 points into him. But something to keep an eye on is his championship contender deal breaker. If we lose to Utah, there's a chance that becomes lower than a B-, meaning he won't come here. So that puts a lot of pressure on us to win this game. Sharp and Bartow are obviously the big 2. Bartow is one of the 4 guys visiting our campus this week, along with running back Cordell Teamer. Very close with us and UCF. The Knights have the slight lead, but I'm hoping this visit puts us over the edge. For Devin Murphy, we have climbed into first place. We were 3rd last week, so I'm hoping the visit will continue the positive momentum with him. And then Quantavius Landers. We have a slight lead for Landers. There are some other schools who are starting to enter the race. Oklahoma State gave him a lot of hours last week. I'm hoping this visit gives us enough of a cushion once he chooses his top 3 schools for us to feel pretty comfortable in winning that battle. We're going all in on Cordell Teamer. We're also putting a lot of points into running back Ty Lord. Still nothing for Kobe Ellington, unfortunately. 65 into Rajon Jones. I feel better about Amani Law right now than I do Jones, so I feel like he needs the extra points boost to try to put us in a comfortable spot going into the top 3. We're going to probably start to go after Rico Ruggins pretty hard next week. The offensive lineman we're putting a lot into. We've built up a lead over Alabama on guard Angelo Edmonds. I wish we offered a visit for Taylor Council. We probably should have taken Anthony Bartow off the board last week, and Council should have gotten that visit, or Sean Snead, the 5-star, because there's a lot of schools now interested in him. His recruitment is heating up, and we're falling behind compared to Mississippi State and TCU, so we're going to give him 75 hours. Peyton Theory's going to get 25. Missouri seems to really like him. And nobody else here is going to be getting any hours. That'll probably change next week. I think Teron Jean-Pierre we're going to start to really go after. He's going to be down to 5 schools pretty soon. Louisville really likes him, but we just have other battles that we need to focus on at the time being. As I mentioned earlier with Sharp, we have to watch out for the championship contender deal breaker, which has dropped all the way to a B with our loss against Arizona State. And if we drop this game against Utah, it's probably going to be lower than a B-, which is not good news for the recruitment of Marcus Ashe, the 5-star Quantavius Landers, who's visiting this week, Alfonso Rugamba, and Reed Sharp. Obviously, the 2 biggest ones there are Landers and Sharp. I would be particularly panicked about Sharp since he's planning to commit pretty soon. So if we don't win this game against Utah, he's probably going to Minnesota. And speaking of, we'll start with them for our Week 6 recap. They're facing off against Middle Tennessee State. A shocker as the Blue Raiders upset Minnesota. You know what? Maybe Minnesota's championship contender deal breaker will be lower than a B- as well. We can cross our fingers for that. But in all seriousness, huge win for the Blue Raiders. Nicholas Fasciato played really well. As for Minnesota, they were ranked number 5 coming into this game. They had just beaten Rutgers. It seemed like maybe they did deserve their preseason hype. Well, the hype train has certainly died down a little bit as they dropped their first game of the year. Number 1 Oregon has looked good so far. I thought they were going to take a step down from last year. They really haven't. They have multiple ranked wins already, and Dante Moore is really starting to settle in at quarterback. Moore's season started a little bit slow, but he's gotten more comfortable each and every week as the starter as he connects with Jack Velin, the Michigan State transfer, for the touchdown, and a big 35-6 win for the Ducks. Iowa loses their 2nd game in a row. They got killed by Penn State last week. This one's a little bit more understandable, losing to the number 1 team in the nation. Their freshman running back, Jeremy Hamilton, played well, though, so that's good. As for Dante Moore, 80% completion percentage, 338 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was terrific, showing the 5-star recruiting pedigree that he came to college with. Let's check in on our rivals, the Missouri Tigers, facing off against the winless University of Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. And this game did not go Missouri's way at all. A shocker in Columbia, Missouri, as the Ragin' Cajuns win their first game of the year, taking this one over Missouri, and doing so fairly convincingly. 35-21 with a big fourth quarter. On one hand, let's laugh at Missouri, because this is hilarious. Losing at home to a winless Group of 5 school. But on the other hand, we only beat Missouri by 1, and probably should not have won that game. So what does that say about us? Number 19 SMU has looked shaky so far this year. They are headed to Boston College to face off against the Eagles. The Mustangs have already dropped a pair after only losing 2 games in the regular season last year. And their early season struggles would continue. Boston College with the win. They now jump into the rankings while SMU drops out. Big performance from Thomas Castellanos. He did throw 2 interceptions, but only 2 incompletions. Otherwise, really strong showing from him as the Eagles are undefeated. Jaden Skeet and Lewis Bond both playing really well through the air. Preston Stone with a solid game. And the thing with Stone is that he's not the reason why SMU's losing. He's having a good year. The rest of the team, which I thought was going to be pretty good, they're returning a lot of key players. They just have not lived up to the standard. Ohio State facing off against Penn State. Remember, the Nittany Lions actually won this game last year. Imagine if they win 2 years in a row. Well, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, but it's awfully rare that they find 2. 38-13, big win for the Buckeyes. They are ranked number 2 behind Oregon. I think Julian Sayin should be the Heisman favorite. I think he's been the best quarterback in the country. The redshirt freshman continues to pass every test thrown his way with flying colors. 84% completion percentage, 400 yards. This kid is a superstar, and if his progression path continues, he will be the runaway favorite to be the number 1 pick whenever he enters the NFL, which he'd be eligible as soon as next year. Rutgers lost their first game of the year. They didn't drop too far, only to number 8. They're going to face off against a strong 3-1 Illinois team. Let's see if this Rutgers team can bounce back. Hint, they would not. Huge game on the ground for Caden Fegan as Rutgers drops 2 in a row. They lost to Minnesota last week. Minnesota kind of proved to be fraudulent today, and you know what? Rutgers probably is too. They got slaughtered by Illinois, 35-14. Big win for the Illini. Luke Altmaier plays well along with Fegan. As for Rutgers, like Minnesota, they never should have been ranked this high. To their defense, at least they were good last year. But Johnny Shepard is really bad. 4 interceptions in back-to-back weeks now. Could there be a QB change in Piscataway? They've got to be thinking about it. Georgia facing off against Ole Miss. The Bulldogs have looked kind of shaky this year. Their new starting quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, really has not played all that well, but he would answer the billing today. Some newfound hope for Georgia as Stockton finally proves why he won the QB battle in one of the deepest quarterback rooms in the nation. 45-14, blowout win for the Dogs. 4 scores for Stockton, he leads the way. Trevor Etienne performs well too. Dylan Bell scores twice. The freshman Nitro Tuggle with a solid game. As for Ole Miss, the sophomore Austin Simmons stunk. Now, I will say, Simmons has been awesome so far this year. They chose him over A.J. Maddox in the QB battle, and Simmons was terrific before this game, but it all kind of came crashing down in this one, and hopefully the lefty will be able to bounce back. We'll wrap up with Texas and Mississippi State. The Bulldogs are 5-0. If they win this game, they're firmly alive in the SEC and playoff race, but unfortunately for them, they would drop their first game of the year. There's Quintravian Wisner running over everyone. Now, this game did stay fairly competitive, 28-13 win for Texas. I feel like Mississippi State probably should be ranked. They've beaten some solid teams. Of course, they beat Arizona State, who just beat us. And they kept it semi-close with the Longhorns. Chris Parson, the sophomore's had a strong year, but did not have a great game today. I feel like there's something missing with Arch Manning. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't really been good either. There's just something off about this Texas team. I haven't really been impressed, other than Ryan Wingo, who's been terrific. Looking at some other scores, Michigan State still sucks. The Trojans have won 5 in a row. Kansas State undefeated, despite a not-so-good offensive game. Their defense only lets up 3. A&M with a nice win over LSU. Florida State, 5-0. They continue to perform. Here in the Big 12, Oklahoma State with a squeaker over the Cyclones. Arizona wins their first conference game of the year. UCF continues to win. Nebraska wins their first game of the year, throttling Northwestern 42-3. Syracuse gets killed by Miami. Syracuse absolutely sucks. They might be the worst Power 4 school in the country. That team blows. And then Tennessee beats Florida 24-8. I guess that doesn't bode well for their coach prestige going down, which doesn't bode well for us flipping wide receiver Josh Lawton. Here's a new look at the rankings, which does not include us. For the first time in this entire series, we are unranked. And being that we're 2-3 and we've lost to some not-so-good teams this year, it's hard to argue against it. We don't really deserve to be ranked right now. On the bright side, we finally don't let up a player of the week. Dakota Thomas wins it on offense, D'Angelo Pons on defense. We do let up the conference defensive player of the week. It's Alford with the 2 interceptions. As for the Heisman race, we have the new first place, Miller Moss from USC. Now, he's played 2 more games than most of these guys, so I'm not sure if he's going to keep the spot. Nico Iamaleava in 4th. Jace Bauer in 5th. I was unfamiliar with Bauer until going through the quarterbacks for the Broncos prospect profiles. Even though he's projected to be undrafted, I like him a lot. I'm happy to see him there, but I don't know where Julian Sayin is. He's getting robbed. So let's look at Utah. They're 3-1, ranked in the top 10. We've got a tough schedule coming up with Utah, a bye week, and UCF. And that bye week in week 8 hurts, because if we lose this game against Utah, we're not going to have a chance to build our championship contender grade back up, which again hurts us in recruiting for the battles of Reed Sharp and Quantavious Landers. Utah's 3-1 this year, but I'm not overly convinced. They haven't really played anybody. They lost early in the year to Oregon, as expected. They've won 3 straight, but they haven't played anyone good. They barely beat Cincinnati, who's one of the lesser teams in the conference. I do like their quarterback, though, the redshirt freshman Isaac Wilson, the younger brother of Mormon Mahomes, the MILF Hunter himself, Zach Wilson. And so far, Isaac has been really good. 62% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jalen Glother leads the backfield. Definitely a new-look offense. Pretty much all their offensive guys from last year are gone. Cam Rising, of course, Micah Bernard, Damian Alford, who played really well against us in the conference championship, Dorian Senior, Brant Kuthi. But the defense looks really good. The name to watch for me is junior corner Smith Snowden. I think he's got a chance to be a first-rounder this year, so we've got to be cautious of throwing the ball his way. Should be a fun one here in Lawrence. Our first home game in 7 weeks. It's been that long, with a few prospects visiting the campus, including multiple top 100 recruits. And lucky for them, they get to watch Clyde Pool football. How exciting must that be? Kansas starts with it, rocking the white helmets with the blue jerseys. First time we've gone with this combination of helmet and jersey. On 3rd down and 10. Poole looks to throw it, under pressure, hit as he throws, it's caught. Rubin breaks the tackle, jukes away from the defender. How did he get that first down? Poole dumped it off short, just to kind of end the drive and get a few yards, but it ends up with a first down. Poole a little bit shaken up, though, on the hit, and Ben Easters will enter the game at quarterback. On 1st down, he hands it off for Johnny Thompson with space to the left side. Big run for Thompson. He's nearly into the red zone. Let's talk about Clyde Poole, though. He's a smaller guy, and his game is going to lead to more hits, but after 2 plays, he hops right back in. We never got an injury diagnosis from him, so maybe he just got tired. Might have pulled an Anthony Richardson. 2nd and 7 with Poole back in the game, looking to throw it. Scrambles to the right side, looking to run with it. Outruns the defensive end with space, looking for blocks, and he is in for a touchdown. Showboating at the end. He was going a little bit slower late. Took an unnecessary hit. Not so much unnecessary that the defender shouldn't have done it, but more so if Poole kept running, he could have avoided the contact. Nonetheless, I like that he's trying to get into the head of these defensive players, and even as a freshman, he's not afraid to showboat and talk some smack. An impressive first drive from Clyde Poole in the offense. He knows he's got to pick it up after his worst game as a Jayhawk a week ago, as we take a look at the Utah offense for the first time. Again, very different unit to last year, the team who we saw beat us in the conference championship game, losing to Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl of the playoff. As it's going to be a loss of yardage on 3rd down for Glover. Dylan Brooks, who's been the best player on this defense this year, brings him down. That'll end the drive. A great start on both sides of the ball for Kansas. It's early, but talk about setting the tone. A touchdown and a 3-and-out defensively. Drive number 2 off to a good start. Here's Moody Rubin. Gets it past the 45. Rubin with another nice play. And as I've talked about with him and Manjack, both guys are really getting comfortable inside this offense, as that one is dropped. Rubin had it in his hands, but it's broken up, and we're going to go for it. here on 4th and 4. We're not really in field goal range, but we're also not in punting range. So will be the offense. Thompson with it to the outside. Gets the first down and then some. Risky play to go to the outside, but not only do we get the first, we get plenty more. Lander Barton, the brother of Cody Barton, brings him down. On first down, into the end zone for a touchdown. Joseph Manjack left completely wide open, uncovered, 6 feet away. More like 60 feet away. There was nobody near him, and it's 14-0. What a start for the Jayhawks, who played their games close. All 5 of our games this year have been decided by 1 score. It'd be a little bit ironic if we blew out a top 10 team who beat us last year in the conference championship, but so far, this is one-sided. Now, there's still plenty of time. We're still in the first quarter, but man, this team looks good. Completely energized after the loss from last week. On first down, Wilson looks to throw it. Hit as he throws, looking downfield. It's caught! What a grab by the tight end, Landon King, who gets 32. He mosses 2 defenders, and he gets it to the 50-yard line. That play could be the spark that the Utes need. Wilson on first down, hit as he throws. He gets it back to Landon King with another first down past the 40. Good play for Utah. They moved the chains, and that'll wrap up quarter number 1. Not a great final minute with a couple big plays by King, but otherwise that was a great quarter. One of our best quarters of the year. The offense looked great. We ran it down their throats. Clyde Poole has looked good as a passer. He's been dynamic on the ground. And the defense, really good first drive, starting to slip up a little bit here on their second drive. On first down, nearing the red zone, play action. Wilson looking deep, has an open man. It's caught over to the 5. Luca Caldarella, the senior, who's become the #1 receiver on this team with Damian Alford and Dorian Senior gone. First and goal after the play by Caldarella. Handoff, play action. No, it's going to be a pass. Wilson under pressure. He is sacked. Tommy Dunn Jr. brings him down for a loss of yardage. Wilson probably should have looked to throw it away. That's the type of sack that Clyde Poole takes. Second and goal at the 7. This time Glover does get in, and he dives in for a score. Big drive for Utah. They needed to respond. They knew they cannot put themselves down behind the 8 ball too much. So they had to get a score here, and they do. It's 14-7 as the Kansas offense returns. Second and 5. Poole, play action. The defense bites. On the run, looking for the sidelines. It's hauled in for a first down. Isaiah Lamore comes down with it for the play. That'll make it a first down now from around the 39. It's a handoff for Savion Morrison to the left side, past the 50. Morrison's been playing really well since his demotion, per se, to being the backup running back. I guess whoever the backup is ends up playing better. Poole scrambles on first down. He's tripped up from behind. Sione Fatu brings him down. Only a loss of a yard, but still a sack. 3rd and 6. Poole not going to shy away from running it. Under pressure, runs for the first down up the middle and then some as he slides forward for a good gain. Clyde Poole looking for his 3rd consecutive 100-yard game on the ground, and he's on pace to do so. Looking now through the air. Deep ball. It's caught for a touchdown. Isaiah Lamore, the freshman, has scored 3 weeks in a row. He's really gotten comfortable within this offense, and it's 21-7. The play from the receivers has gotten better as the year has gone along. A good sign that Clyde Poole's building a good rapport with them. Wilson keeps it himself. He does not get the first down. Samuel Mpemba, the transfer from Georgia, tackles him for a loss. That'll lead to a punt. Kansas gets it back. 3 drives and 3 touchdowns. Will they be successful on drive number 4? Thompson with a spin move going backwards, and he gets a good gain of nearly 15 yards. This offense looks so good right now. The run game has been great. Clyde Poole is back after a down game against Arizona State. He has been accurate, he has been precise, and he's been pushing it downfield. Big run to the left side for Morrison inside the 30. It's a gain of 27 yards for Morrison. 3rd down and 10, though, after a couple of incompletions. As Poole looks to throw it, he's going to go short. It's Dorian Pepper, the true freshman. He doesn't get much. Utah calls a timeout, and that'll bring out the field goal unit. Escalante missed one to tie it at the end last week from 43. He's going to potentially overcompensate a little bit, and there you go. It's wide left. He was too focused on making sure the kick wouldn't go towards the right side of the upright that he hooked it too far left. He's got the yips. It's in his head. Escalante was playing really well earlier in the year. He only missed 1 kick before the miss against Arizona State, but for whatever reason, he is not on his A game right now. Utah back with it with a chance to make it a one-score game, which all things considered with how they've played, hard to complain being down by 7 going into halftime. Good play by Caldarella. Here's Wilson on first down, looking short. Caught again. It's Luca Caldarella once more. And he gets it to around the 33-yard line. He's got a good rapport right now with Isaac Wilson. As it's 2nd and 5. Under a minute left in the first half. Looking deep. It's caught to the 1. A big play for Luca Caldarella again. He's been uncoverable here in this first half. And now Utah looks to punch it in. Pitch for Glover to the outside. Breaks the initial tackle. But he's going backwards. Impemba with the initial contact. Basil Wilson and friends finish him off. Utah calls a timeout. 2nd and goal. Roughly 10 seconds left in the half as it's caught for a score. And it's a one-possession ball game. The other tight end, Carson Ryan, with the touchdown. These guys have 2 studs at tight end with Ryan and King. And Kansas gets it back. 2 seconds left in the half. With a guy like Clyde-Poole, we might as well try for the big play. He's got the arm talent. He's got the rushing ability. But he fumbles it! And thank goodness Kansas scoops it up, avoiding catastrophe. That could have really hurt what was otherwise a really strong first half. We are clearly outplaying the 7th-ranked team in the nation. 181 rushing yards to 26. Clyde-Poole, minus the fumble, has looked really good. The run game's been really good. The receivers are balling out. The defense has been pretty solid. I wish we were up by more than 7 because I feel like we've played a little bit better than the score suggests, and that could be kind of a problem if Utah gets their act together in the second half. They have been the better team so far this year. They start with the ball in the third quarter, so they can get some points, maybe tie this game up. It's an entirely new game for the Utes, so we'll see how they're able to respond. This is a pivotal opening drive. First play from scrimmage starting at the 25. Wilson looks to throw it, looking downfield. It's caught by Caldarella, who has been the go-to guy. He's had 5 or 6 big catches at this point. And Utah's moving it well. They've got it past the 30. Ryan, who had the last touchdown, is the man in motion on 2nd and 1. Play action. Wilson looking for the end zone. It's picked! Javon McIntyre with the interception, and he will take a knee. That is the first incompletion that Isaac Wilson has thrown all day. He wanted to play hero ball, I think on 2nd and short. I kind of get it, because if you throw an incompletion, it's still 3rd down. But on the other hand, you got to make sure you don't turn the ball over. As McIntyre, the transfer from Pitt, gets his first interception of the year. Kansas back with it, 3rd and 8, looking to capitalize off the turnover, and that one is broken up. Isaiah Lamore had it in his hands. It was a good throw, but it was jarred out in the secondary, and Utah gets it right back. The interception proves not to be that big of a deal. As Jalen Glover gets the first down into the red zone, the Utes now with a prime chance to potentially tie this game. 2nd and 11 for Utah. It's going to be an RPO screen. It's Glover with it, looking to outrun Jason Gilliam, and he's pushed out of bounds at around the 3. Gilliam saves a touchdown, but still a nice play by Glover. 2nd and goal. Utes looking to punch it in, trying to tie the game. Glover gets it back, and he dives in for a score. He went flying, but it is not going to matter. He put his body on the line just for a holding call on Jaron Kemp, the center. So it's 3rd and goal. They're backed up all the way at the 13, and Wilson's probably going to have to throw the ball. Looking short, it is caught, and they actually nearly get in. That was a close call. They get it to around the 2. That's the freshman wideout, Nico Wynn, and here's the field goal unit. I think I would go for it here. I don't agree with this call, but they'll take the easy 3 points, and it's no good! Wide to the right! Their kicker, Bryce Keating, the freshman, pulled an Anthony Escalante. At least Escalante's kick was really close. That one missed clearly. It was a 19-yarder. I could have made that kick. Okay, maybe we don't get ahead of ourselves. Maybe I would make that kick. That'll wrap up the third. A big 3rd down sack for Utah as it's Keanu Tanuvasa who brings down Clyde-Poole. Kansas scored touchdowns on each of their first 3 drives of the game, but over their last 3 drives, they've scored nothing. The offense went from really hot to really cold in an alarmingly quick amount of time. Utah gets it back in the 4th quarter. Still 21-14. Good play there by Dickerson, forcing the loss of yardage. That might have been the most exciting scoreless quarter I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how nobody scored in that 3rd quarter. Utah had so many chances. 3rd and 11, look at Wilson. He's going to run for the first down, scrambling around. I don't know how we let him get that. but he gets a huge gain with his legs, and Utah has it back in enemy territory, back in the red zone. They've had it here twice in the second half, but no points to show for it. Will third time be the charm? Here's a good play after the catch. It's Carson Ryan who gets it on the goal line. 2nd and goal. They have to score a touchdown here. Anything less would be unacceptable. As Glover gets it, and he is in. Hit by J.B. Brown, but it won't matter. And Utah finally will tie this game up. They should be winning with how many chances they had in the third quarter, but the interception and the missed field goal, they really kind of blew it. But third time's the charm, I guess, 21-21. And now Kansas offense has to respond. They started the game off red hot. Now they're ice cold. Poole looking downfield. It's intercepted. And the Utes get the turnover and will have a chance to take the lead. Jalen Davies, the former Oregon Duck, picks it off. And Utah has new life. Clyde Poole with another turnover, his 5th interception of the year. That wasn't a horrible play, I guess. He was scrambling, makes a good play with his legs. I think it was Ruben, the receiver, who had some space deep. Ruben should have tried to charge the ball, but Davies jumped the route, gets the interception, and gets a nice play after the catch with it. But still, we're seeing the turnovers from Clyde Poole. That's just part of his game. We're going to see the big rushing ability. We're going to see the big scrambles. But we're also going to see the giveaways. So Utah gets it back with an opportunity to take the lead. 2nd and inches, nearing the 30. Wilson, RPO screen. It's Carson Ryan. First down, breaks the tackle, nearing the red zone. They have a real shot to take their first lead of the day. With under 5 minutes to go from around the 22-yard line. That's Ryan again who's in motion. Read option. Wilson smothered by Dylan Brooks. What a season he has had. And it is now a 3rd and 12. Huge play for the Utes. And they will fake the handoff. Wilson goes short. It's caught by Jalen Glover. He's been the engine of this offense, and he does not get the first down. Wilson brings him down. Bryce Keating missed an easy field goal from the right side from 19. This one a little farther out. And it is no good! He misses again! Bryce Keating is going to have to buy double the amount of drinks in Utah. 0 for 2. He has left 6 points off the board, and it remains tied at 21. Kansas dodges a bullet, and they'll get a chance to take the lead. They have not scored yet in the second half, but now would be a good time to change that. First down run for Poole, nearing the 40. All we would need is a field goal to take the lead, but with Escalante's struggles today, I don't know if we feel so good about that. It's a sack there on the play, wrapped up by Logan Fano and Simote Peppa. 3rd and 9, maybe the biggest play of the game. It's caught for a first down. Manjack creates separation. Good throw by Clyde Poole. That'll keep the chains moving. 2nd and 10, look at the clock. There's only a minute left. Manjack with it, another good gain, and it's 3rd and 1. Manjack seems to be the guy who Poole looks for at the end of games. He's becoming the go-to guy in this passing attack. 3rd and 1, Poole scrambles, runs for the first down, and more! How did he turn that into a huge gain? Clyde Poole, you are Houdini! And Kansas calls a timeout. Even though they're in a pretty good spot, with 31 seconds in field goal range, it's better to be safe than sorry. Up the middle, big run for Morrison! Inside the 10 to around the 6. We're going to call timeout number 2. And again, we're going to go for the end zone. I know we have the kick censored right now, but you never know with college kickers, especially college freshmen. 1st and goal, Poole, end zone, touchdown! Isaiah Lamore, his 2nd receiving touchdown of the afternoon. And Kansas takes the lead. When the game is on the line, when the chips are pushed into the deck, and when the money is needed, Clyde Poole seems to deliver. He is at his best down the stretch when he needs to make plays. 28-21. Utah still with 3 timeouts and plenty of time. A really nice catch there for a first down as it's hauled in on the play by Cade Stefanik. Nearing midfield after using the timeout, here is Wilson. Downfield, another nice grab, and they're going to call timeout number 2 as that one is hauled in by Ryan. So now they're in range to theoretically launch up a Hail Mary at some point as that one is caught for a short gain. They're going to have to use their last timeout. And now with 8 seconds left, probably have to throw it up for the end zone. Maybe they try to get closer, do something out of bounds, but they're close enough to get it there. First pass from Isaac Wilson, tipped, incomplete. We still have 2 seconds left, enough time for one more play. Game on the line, a potential top 10 win at stake for Kansas, and a lot of recruiting implications as that one is tipped and batted down in the back of the end zone, incomplete. And the Jayhawks hang on and survive, upsetting the Utah Utes, getting revenge for the Big 12 championship last year, 28-21, with another player of the game performance from Clyde Poole, who again was quite solid. He wasn't perfect by any stretch, but he scored all 4 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground, leads the game-winning drive with this touchdown right here to the fellow true freshman Isaiah Lamore, who scored twice. This team makes no sense. Halfway through the year, I still don't know what to make of us. But rather than try to make sense of it, I think I'm just going to enjoy the ride because it has been a bumpy one, but a fun one. Number 7 Utah goes down to the Jayhawks. We'll start with Clyde Poole. Even though his completion percentage was only 1 percentage point higher than last week, I thought he threw the ball a lot better. He didn't miss as many throws. His accuracy was just a lot more consistent, and the interception wasn't some horrible pass. He was also really good on the ground again, 13 for 93 and a score. Morrison and Thompson were also both terrific. Manjack played well again. A couple of big scores by Lamore. As for the defense, we made plays when we needed to. I thought the pass coverage was kind of soft. Wilson only threw 4 incompletions, and 2 of them came in the final 10 seconds of the game on Hail Marys. We need more pressure, I feel like. We need more turnovers, but overall, we did enough. As for the Utes, they've got themselves a quarterback. I was really impressed with Isaac Wilson. The numbers aren't necessarily going to blow you away, but he played well, as did Jalen Glover. 100 yards and 2 scores. Caldarello was really good, kind of quieted down in the second half, though. The 2 tight ends played really well. And then their defense, got to give them some credit, because even though our offense started red hot, we really cooled off for most of the second half, but when our offense needed to score at the end of the game, they did. And shout out the kicker, missing 2 field goals. Now, since we won by 7, I don't know if it would have mattered, but both of those misses ended up being a pretty big deal. So that brings us into Week 7. We've got the Red River rivalry. Michigan-USC is a game I'm fascinated and very curious to see what happens there. But we'll start with San Diego State, who's undefeated and ranked, facing off against the University of Washington. The Aztecs, 6-0, could be a prime contender for the Group 5 spot in the playoff, but they could not stop the Williams duo. Demond Williams Jr. with 6 passing touchdowns, 3 of which including this awesome grab by Rashid Williams. Washington's now 5-1 as they win 47-35. As a Duck fan, I would love to make fun of Washington, but this team's pretty good, matching their win total from last year. Season 2 of the Jed Fish era is looking solid, and hey, Oregon's doing good anyway. They've only lost 1 game in this entire series. Remember who that 1 game was to, by the way? Shout out, Rock Chalk. Anyway, Red River rivalry, one of the more exciting rivalries in college football, Texas and Oklahoma. Now, both teams haven't been very impressive this year. The Sooners have already lost 2 games. Texas, as I said, they just don't pass the eye test for whatever reason. It feels like there's something off about them. But they are better than Oklahoma, and they showed that today. A strong win over the Sooners. Big game from C.J. Baxter. Him and Wisner are a really nice duo in that Texas backfield as the Longhorns take this one 23-17. The Sooners only drop a couple of spots in the rankings. This game was obsessed with Oklahoma. When they lost in Week 1, they didn't drop at all. I don't know why this game loves them so much. As for Arch Manning, another good but not great game. And right now I feel like Arch is a good but not great player. Minnesota coming off their first loss of the year against Middle Tennessee State, looking to right the ship against 2-3 Purdue. But I guess Minnesota used all of the pixie dust and fairy magic in the game against Rutgers because the clock has struck midnight on Cinderella. Purdue knocks off the Gophers 24-13. Again, why was this Minnesota team ranked? They were under 500 last year. They lost their best player, Darius Taylor, in the portal, who's killing it, by the way, at Michigan. We'll talk about him soon. But them being ranked in the preseason top 25 just never made sense. SMU and Clemson battling it out. This ended up being one of the most exciting games of the week in overtime. 51-45. Clemson scores a touchdown to tie it up. And after SMU missed their 2-point conversion, Clemson looks to win it, and they do, with Cade Klubnik scrambling it in. The Tigers survive 53-51 in double overtime. Cade Klubnik looks the part of the #1 pick. He was terrific in this game. 5 passing touchdowns, 1 on the ground. He needs more Heisman love, but he is getting love from the NFL. Again, the clear favorite to be the #1 pick right now. But don't discount Preston Stone. He threw 7 touchdowns. but he's only 2-4 this year. The rest of his team has really let him down. I thought that would be the game of the year. I was wrong. It was actually this game, Georgia and Kentucky. The Bulldogs led 21-0 going into the fourth quarter, but Kentucky found a way to flip a switch with former Georgia quarterback Brock Vandagriff. They would tie it at 21, bringing the game to overtime. Kentucky got the ball first, marched down the field, scored a touchdown, making it 28-27. That would give Georgia the ball with a chance to tie, and they do. Oscar Delp with the score, 28-27. Now all they have to do is make the extra point and send this game into a double overtime. But they missed the kick, and Kentucky beats Georgia 28-27 off of a missed PAT. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the one tweet by the streamer Ninja who said a few years ago, "How do kickers just miss kicks?" That's how I feel today with all the kicks that have been missed in this game. I imagine the Georgia fans are going to try to drink the pain away. And once the players lead this game too, the amount of drunk driving accidents in Athens, Georgia caused by this game, I do not envy Athens law enforcement, I've got to tell you. Although I will say that's just kind of the normal day at the University of Georgia, so it's really nothing new to them. Boise State, number 20, they look like a prime candidate to be the Group 5 representative in the playoff, facing off against 1-5 Notre Dame. It's been a disaster of a season for the Fighting Irish. Their offense has been terrible this year, but for whatever reason, they figured it all out today, blowing out Boise State 52-24. Malachi Nelson was really good, and the rest of the team was really bad. This is a really bad look for Boise State because Notre Dame is horrific. Steve Angeli's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the country, and he goes for 430, 4 scores, and no interceptions. Boise State's defense has been really bad all year, but this might be the icing on the cake. Oklahoma State versus Texas Tech. Oklahoma State's ranked number 6. Texas Tech is unranked, but in reality, I think these teams are actually pretty even. Well, they didn't look even. Texas Tech actually outplayed these guys by a significant margin. Impressive day from the running back Cameron Valdez, 34-11, a blowout win for the Red Raiders with a rough day throwing the ball for Zane Flores, 2 interceptions, completing just 43% of his passes. Baron Morton really wasn't that great either, but the defense for Texas Tech was absolutely terrific. Michigan and USC, these look like 2 of the best teams in the country. The Trojans, after losing their Week 0 game to Georgia Southern, have won 6 in a row. This is their first real test against Michigan. I have 2 big takeaways from this game. The first of which I expected coming into the day, is that these 2 teams both look like legitimate playoff contenders, and I think they'll be both playing in January. The second takeaway is that Darius Taylor is really damn good. Michigan wins 48-34. Darius Taylor with a huge game. He's been the best running back in the country this year, and I don't think it's particularly close. Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum are 2 of the best running backs in Michigan history, and Darius Taylor is better than both of them. With Taylor and Orji clicking, a three-peat is very possible for Michigan. Nothing bad to say about USC. Shout out Aiden Childs, passer rating of over 933. USC now 6-2. If they go 3-1 the rest of the way, I think they will and should be a playoff team. Miami and NC State, a rematch from last year's incredible ACC championship game. We already saw us get revenge for our conference championship loss today. And NC State, likewise, will repay the favor, beating the Hurricanes on their home turf. If you can even really call it a home turf, this isn't really much of a home field advantage. 35-24. Reese Poffenbarger is bad. There's no way around it. They need to start the freshman Keon Hokulani. As for NC State, all 35 of their points came in the first half. We're really seeing the good and the bad from CJ Bailey. But the good in the first half outweighs some of the struggles down the stretch. We're going to wrap things up here with Ohio State and Illinois. The Buckeyes, to me, look like the best team in the nation because I think they have the best quarterback in the nation. Well, after today, I think they might have the second best quarterback in the nation because apparently Luke Altmaier is that guy. What a throw as he got hit for a touchdown. Illinois, what a day for the Illini. They upset Rutgers and they upset the Buckeyes 29-28, outscoring Ohio State 16-0 in the fourth quarter. Luke Altmaier was terrific. 4 all-purpose touchdowns, nearly 500 yards through the air. Mario Sanders II with a big game as well. Julian Sand wasn't too bad in his own right. Led the team in rushing. Big game through the air. Carnell Tate really performed. but it's not enough for the win. As we look at our other scores around the rest of the nation, UCF backed ranked as they beat TCU in a pretty close game. Oregon with a competitive win over Wisconsin, just like in real life. A&M's playing well. They blow out Arkansas, who's got a great quarterback with Taylon Green. Kansas State, 6-0, number 10. Things that you hate to see. They blow out West Virginia. And then in the Big 12, BYU beat Cincinnati. Houston over Arizona State. Houston's not very good, yet Arizona State beat us. Again, what does that say about us? And then for your other scores around the nation, Tulane is now 2-3. You know, maybe they should get that NIL dispute with Ty Thompson figured out, because they are really missing him. Colorado beat Baylor. Alabama actually does beat Vanderbilt here. The Tide are kind of actually starting to play a little bit better. Maybe, for once. Kennesaw State beats Middle Tennessee State, who just beat Minnesota last week. College football is a hilarious sport. Again, I'm not going to try to make sense of it. I'm just going to enjoy the ride. Here's a look at our rankings. A game I'm really excited about coming up in, actually, I think this week, is Clemson and Florida State. Are the Seminoles legit? And how good is Cade Klubnik and the Tigers? We are now getting votes again. We might be back. We're towards the back end of the getting votes group, but at least we're in there. Of course, now we are 2-1 in conference, and we're 4th in the Big 12. There's only 3 teams ahead of us. Only 2 teams are undefeated. It's going to be an uphill battle to climb up that list, but hey, 4th is a good starting point. Unfortunately, Avery Johnson wins the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. That's kind of unfortunate. Kenny Johnson and Jalen Lowry win the National Players of the Week as we look at the Heisman watch. Miller Moss stays in 1st despite the loss. Jeremy Bernard moves up to 2nd. Dante Moore in 3rd. He had a great episode, playing really well in both games. And then Julian Sand climbs back into 5th. Next week, it's not just Florida State, Clemson. Georgia looks to rebound against Auburn. That'll be pretty interesting. We've got a bye week, so I think we're going to cover 3 weeks of action with UCF and Texas Tech, 2 good teams. We have a hard schedule the rest of the way. Houston's no slouch. TCU's good. Oklahoma State's going to be tough. And then Kansas State's 6-0 with maybe the most talented quarterback in the nation. I've got a lot of recruiting news to share. A number of players have announced their commitments prior to this week, and there's going to be a lot more. Pretty much a large chunk of our recruiting board deciding where they're going within the next 3 weeks, which will be in the next episode. Maybe I'll space it out and only do weeks 8 and 9 because there's so much recruiting content. I haven't officially decided, but we'll figure it out when we get there. We'll cross that bridge later. That'll wrap up the episode. I know it was a long one, but a really fun one. A lot of stuff to go over here with 2 exciting weeks and recruiting really heating up. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.